Imagine a moving mountain of steel. It cuts through the ocean waves with unstoppable force. This is the aircraft carrier, a symbol of national power for over a century. It is a floating city, a sovereign piece of territory that can project strength anywhere on the globe. For decades, these vessels have been the undisputed queens of the sea, their decks acting as runways for the world's most advanced fighter jets. Their presence alone can change the course of a crisis, a clear message to friend and foe alike. They are the ultimate expression of a nation's will, a testament to engineering and military might that few can rival. The sight of one steaming over the horizon is enough to make any potential adversary think twice. The power they represent is immense. Think of the thunderous roar as a fighter jet is catapulted from its deck, accelerating from 0 to over 150 miles per hour in just a few seconds. Picture the sleek form of a guided missile launching from a nearby destroyer, streaking across the sky to intercept an unseen threat miles away. This is the Carrier Strike Group, a network of warships, submarines and aircraft all working in perfect harmony. It is a symphony of destruction, a carefully choreographed dance of technology and human skill. For generations, this has been the formula for naval dominance, a formula that has kept sea lanes open and projected power into the farthest corners of the world. But the nature of warfare is always changing. History teaches us that no weapon, no matter how powerful, remains dominant forever. The wooden ships of the line gave way to the ironclad dreadnoughts. The dreadnoughts in turn were made obsolete by the very aircraft carriers they were meant to protect. Each era brings new technologies, new tactics, and new threats that challenge the old ways of fighting. Today, we are in the midst of another great transformation. The battlefield is becoming faster, more connected, and more lethal than ever before. The old rules of engagement are being rewritten by silent drones, intelligent weapons, and missiles that travel at unimaginable speeds. We stand at a pivotal moment in military history. The familiar symbols of power, like the mighty aircraft carrier, are facing questions about their future. Can these colossal ships, which have ruled the waves for so long, adapt to this new era? Or are they destined to become the battleships of the 21st century, magnificent, powerful, but ultimately too vulnerable for the conflicts of tomorrow? The debate rages in military circles and government halls around the world. The stakes are incredibly high, involving trillions of dollars, and the balance of global power. The story of the modern supercarrier is the story of this very struggle. Into this uncertain world sails a new titan, the USS John F. Kennedy, also known as CVN-79. She is the second ship in the new Gerald R. Ford class of supercarriers, the most technologically advanced and powerful warships ever built. Named in honor of the 35th President of the United States, a former naval officer himself, this ship is designed to be the cornerstone of American naval power for the next 50 years. Everything about her is on a grand scale. She displaces over 100,000 tons of water and stretches over 1,000 feet long. Her flight deck is a sprawling expanse of more than 4 acres, a sovereign airfield at sea. The Kennedy is not just bigger, she is smarter, faster, and more lethal than her predecessors. She is a product of the digital age, packed with cutting-edge technology from bow to stern. Her new systems are designed to launch more aircraft, more quickly than ever before. This ability to generate sorties, the number of flights a carrier can launch in a day, is a key measure of her power. The goal is to overwhelm an enemy with relentless air power, maintaining a constant presence in the skies over the battlefield. This ship isn't just an upgrade, it represents a fundamental rethinking of how a carrier should operate in the modern world. At the heart of the Kennedy's power are her 2 A-1B nuclear reactors. These incredible power plants can operate for over 20 years without needing to be refueled. They generate enough electricity to power a small city, driving the ship through the water at speeds of over 30 knots and running all of its advanced electronics and weapon systems. This near-unlimited energy source gives the Kennedy incredible endurance and operational freedom. She can deploy anywhere in the world, stay on station for months at a time, and project power without being tied to a vulnerable chain of fuel tankers. This is a strategic advantage that is difficult to overstate. Built at a cost of over $11 billion, the USS John F. Kennedy is a monumental investment in the future of naval warfare. She is the embodiment of American ambition, a floating fortress designed to secure the seas for decades to come. When she finally joins the fleet, she will carry a crew of over 4,500 sailors and aviators, and an air wing of more than 75 advanced aircraft, including the F-35C Lightning II stealth fighter. She is, by any measure, a giant. A true supercarrier built for a new century. But the question that hangs over her mighty steel frame is a simple one: is she already a relic of a bygone era? The christening of a new warship is usually a moment of celebration. It marks the birth of a vessel that will serve and protect for generations. Yet, for the USS John F. Kennedy, her entry into the world is shadowed by a persistent and troubling question. Is this magnificent supercarrier the pinnacle of 20th century naval doctrine already obsolete? Has the rapid evolution of military technology made her a giant, slow-moving target in a world of hypersonic speed and intelligent weapons? This is not just an academic debate. It is a critical question for military planners who must decide how best to defend their nations in the turbulent decades ahead. The fear is that the very things that make a carrier so powerful, its size, its concentration of force, and its visibility, have now become its greatest weaknesses. For most of history, the vastness of the ocean provided protection. Finding a carrier strike group in the middle of the Pacific was like finding a needle in a haystack, but that is no longer the case. The world is now watched by a constellation of satellites that can see in different spectrums, day or night, through clouds and storms. The unique heat signature and electronic emissions of a carrier group make it stand out against the cold, empty ocean. In this new age of transparency, there is nowhere left to hide. This new reality changes the fundamental equation of naval warfare. In the past, a carrier could operate with a degree of impunity, launching strikes from a safe distance, unseen by its enemies. Now it must assume it is being watched from the moment it leaves port. Every move is tracked, every signal is monitored. This constant surveillance allows an enemy to know the carrier's location, speed and heading with terrifying precision. This information can then be fed directly to a new generation of long-range carrier-killer missiles, weapons designed specifically to hunt and destroy these floating fortresses from hundreds or even thousands of miles away. So, while the USS John F. Kennedy prepares to rule the waves, a sense of unease grows. Military strategists are forced to confront a difficult truth. The age of the untouchable carrier may be over. The ship was conceived in one strategic era, but it will be born into a completely different one. Its designers have worked hard to build in defenses and new technologies to counter these threats. But the nagging doubt remains. Is it enough? Or is this 100,000-ton behemoth, this $11 billion symbol of power, sailing toward a future where it is simply too big, too expensive, and too vulnerable to risk in a major conflict? The designers of the USS John F. Kennedy were not blind to the changing world. They knew they were building a ship that would face threats unimaginable to the designers of older carriers. As a result, the Kennedy and her sister ships in the Ford class are not just incremental improvements, they are a radical departure in design and capability. The primary purpose remains the same: to project overwhelming air power from the sea. However, the way it achieves this mission has been completely re-engineered to be more efficient, more sustainable, and more resilient in the face of modern threats. Every inch of the ship reflects this new philosophy. One of the most significant innovations is the Electromagnetic Aircraft Launch System, or EMALS. This replaces the old steam-powered catapults that have been used on carriers for over 60 years. EMALS uses a powerful linear induction motor to launch aircraft more smoothly and with greater precision. This new system puts less stress on the airframes, allowing planes to fly more missions before needing major maintenance. More importantly, it can be finely tuned for different types of aircraft, from heavy, fully loaded fighters to the lighter, unmanned drones that will be a crucial part of the future air wing. It is a key enabler of the ship's increased sortie generation rate. Another major change is the ship's island, the command tower that rises from the flight deck. On the Kennedy, the island is smaller and has been moved further aft or towards the rear of the ship. This redesign opens up a huge amount of valuable space on the flight deck. It allows for faster and more efficient movement of aircraft, fuel, and munitions. This seemingly small change has a massive impact on the ship's workflow, helping it rearm and refuel planes much faster. The result is a higher tempo of operations, allowing the Kennedy to put more aircraft in the air more often, keeping the pressure on an adversary. Beneath the surface, the Kennedy is also built for survival. While many details are classified, We know that her design incorporates advanced stealth features to reduce her radar cross-section, making her harder to detect and target. She is also equipped with a powerful new dual-band radar system that can track a vast number of targets simultaneously, providing a comprehensive picture of the surrounding airspace and sea. This is paired with sophisticated electronic warfare suites and layered missile defense systems, like the evolved Sea Sparrow missile and rolling airframe missile designed to shoot down incoming threats. The Kennedy is designed to fight her way through a contested environment, not just operate from a safe haven. The greatest challenge to the reign of the supercarrier comes from a new class of weapons that are, well, completely rewriting the rules of naval combat. Chief among these are hypersonic missiles. These are weapons that travel at more than 5 times the speed of sound, or Mach 5. At such incredible velocities, they're exceedingly difficult to detect and honestly, almost impossible to intercept with current defensive systems. A hypersonic missile launched from 1,000 miles away could reach a carrier strike group in just a matter of minutes. This drastically reduces the time that commanders have to react, turning a complex defensive challenge into a near-impossible one. But you know, the threat is not just about speed, it's also about maneuverability. Unlike ballistic missiles, which follow a predictable arc through the atmosphere, hypersonic glide vehicles can change direction during flight. They can fly low, hugging the curve of the Earth to stay below the radar horizon for as long as possible. Then, in the final moments of their attack, they can perform high-G maneuvers to evade defensive fire. For the sailors on the deck of a ship like the Kennedy, this is the ultimate nightmare. A weapon that is too fast to see, too agile to shoot down, and carries a warhead powerful enough to inflict catastrophic damage on a 100,000-ton ship. Alongside the hypersonic threat is the rise of the drone swarm. Imagine not one, but hundreds or even thousands of small autonomous drones attacking a carrier strike group all at once. These drones could be launched from the air, the sea, or even from submarines. Some might be designed to carry explosives, acting as small, intelligent kamikaze weapons. Others might be equipped with sensors to jam the carrier's radar and communications, blinding its defenses. The sheer number of targets would be designed to overwhelm the ship's missile systems and close-in weapons, which can only engage a limited number of threats at a time. A few might be shot down, but, well, many would get through. This combination of high-end hypersonic missiles and low-cost numerous drone swarms creates a terrifying dilemma for naval planners. The carrier must be prepared to defend against attacks from all directions, at all altitudes and at all speeds simultaneously. A single hypersonic missile could cripple the ship, while a swarm of drones could disable its vital sensors and defensive systems, leaving it vulnerable to a follow-up attack. This is the new reality of warfare that the USS John F. Kennedy must navigate. It is a battle space that is more lethal, more complex, and more unforgiving than ever before in the history of war at sea. For most of the 20th century, the aircraft carrier's greatest defense was honestly just the sheer size of the ocean. It could disappear into the vast blue expanse, making it an incredibly difficult target to find. This freedom to maneuver, to hide and then strike unexpectedly, was really central to its power. But today, that cloak of invisibility is being stripped away by a revolution in surveillance technology. The heavens above are now filled with a dense network of satellites operated by governments and even private companies. These eyes in the sky have, well, created a transparent ocean, where a giant warship like the Kennedy struggles to find a shadow to hide in. These satellite constellations aren't just simple cameras. They're equipped with a wide array of sophisticated sensors. For example, synthetic aperture radar satellites can see through clouds and darkness, mapping the surface of the sea with remarkable clarity. They can easily detect the large metallic shape of a carrier group. Other satellites are designed to pick up electronic emissions, homing in on the powerful radar and communication signals that a modern naval force constantly emits. Even the heat from the ship's nuclear reactors can create a thermal signature that can be detected from space. All this data can be fused together to create a precise, real-time picture of the carrier's location. This persistent global surveillance poses an existential threat to the carrier. It means that an adversary may no longer need to send out patrol planes or ships to search for the carrier group. They can simply wait for their satellites to find it for them. This kill chain, the process of finding, fixing, tracking, targeting, and engaging an enemy, is becoming dangerously short. A satellite detects the carrier, its location is transmitted to a ground station, and that targeting data is then uploaded to a long-range anti-ship missile. The entire process could take just minutes, leaving the carrier with almost no time to react or escape. So, to survive in this new environment, the Kennedy must learn to manage its signature. This means operating in a state of strict electronic silence, turning off powerful radars and communication systems whenever possible. It involves using advanced stealth technologies and deceptive tactics to try and confuse satellite sensors. The carrier strike group will need to become masters of camouflage and deception, using decoys and electronic warfare to create false targets and hide its true location. The fight for survival will begin long before any weapon is fired. It's going to be a constant, invisible battle of wits played out in space and across the electromagnetic spectrum. Every great weapon in history has had a weakness, an Achilles heel. For the supercarrier, its greatest vulnerability is its reliance on a vast and complex network of support. A single carrier isn't a lone warrior, it's the centerpiece of a carrier strike group. This group typically includes at least one cruiser, several destroyers, a submarine, and a fleet of supply ships. These supporting vessels provide a protective screen, defending the carrier against air, surface, and underwater threats. They also carry the ammunition, fuel, and supplies needed to sustain the carrier's operations. The carrier's survival depends entirely on the integrity of this screen. If an enemy can break through this defensive layer, the carrier itself becomes terribly vulnerable. A successful submarine attack, for example, could be devastating. A modern torpedo, detonating beneath the hull of the Kennedy, could break its keel, inflicting catastrophic damage that would take it out of the fight permanently. Similarly, a coordinated missile attack could overwhelm the escort ships, allowing some missiles to leak through and strike the carrier. While the Kennedy is heavily armored, a direct hit from a large, modern anti-ship missile could still penetrate its flight deck, causing massive fires and explosions among the tightly packed aircraft and munitions below. The flight deck itself is another critical point of failure. It's the carrier's entire reason for being. Without it, the ship is just a 100,000-ton floating target. Even a single missile hit that damages the deck, the catapults, or the arresting gear could halt all flight operations. A damaged runway at sea just can't be easily repaired. This would render the carrier's primary weapon, its air wing, completely useless. The enemy wouldn't need to sink the ship, they would only need to disable its ability to launch and recover aircraft to achieve a mission kill, effectively neutralizing the multi-billion-dollar asset. Furthermore, the ship is a concentrated, high-value target. On board are over 4,500 people and billions of dollars worth of aircraft and high-tech equipment. The loss of a single supercarrier would be a national catastrophe, both in terms of human life and military capability. This makes commanders potentially hesitant to risk such a valuable asset in a high-threat environment. An adversary knows this. They may not even need to sink the carrier. The mere threat of their advanced missiles could be enough to force the carrier to operate from much further away, reducing its effectiveness and limiting its ability to influence events on shore. This is the new calculus of power in the 21st century. The debate over the future of the supercarrier isn't just about technology and tactics, it's also about money. The USS John F. Kennedy comes with a staggering price tag of over $11 billion just for its construction. But that's really only the beginning of the story. When you add the cost of its air wing, more than 75 advanced aircraft like the F-35C, each costing around $100 million, the total initial investment climbs to over $20 billion, and that's before you even consider the cost of the escort ships, the submarines, and the logistics train needed to support the entire strike group. The lifetime cost of operating and maintaining a single carrier strike group over its 50-year lifespan is estimated to be in the hundreds of billions of dollars. This includes everything from crew salaries and training to fuel, maintenance, and periodic modernizations. This is, honestly, a colossal financial commitment. It raises a fundamental question for any government. Is this the best way to spend limited defense budgets? Could that same amount of money be used more effectively on other systems like long-range bombers, submarines, satellites, or cyber warfare capabilities? This is really a debate about opportunity cost. Critics argue that concentrating so much money and military power into a single, potentially vulnerable platform is a risky strategy. They suggest that a more distributed and resilient force would be better suited to modern warfare. Instead of a few giant carriers, they propose a larger number of smaller, less expensive ships, unmanned vessels, and land-based missile systems. This approach, they argue, would create more targets for an enemy to deal with and would be less catastrophic if one platform were lost. It's a shift from a philosophy of concentration to one of dispersal. However, supporters of the supercarrier argue that no other system can match its sheer power and flexibility. A carrier can move anywhere in the world, carrying its own airfield and a powerful air force with it. It can provide sustained air cover, strike targets deep inland, and respond to crises without needing permission to use foreign bases. It's a unique and irreplaceable tool for projecting power and influence. For them, the high cost is simply the price of being a global superpower. They argue that while the threats are real, the carrier's ability to adapt, combined with its unmatched capabilities, ensures it will remain a worthwhile investment for decades to come. So, we arrive back at our central question. Does the supercarrier, exemplified by the magnificent USS John F. Kennedy, still have a place in the future of warfare? Or is it a beautiful, powerful dinosaur, heading for extinction? The answer, like history itself, is complex and uncertain. There is no doubt that the operational environment for these ships has become more dangerous than at any time since the Second World War. The golden age of the uncontested carrier, able to roam the seas with impunity, is likely over. The threats from hypersonic missiles, drone swarms, and space-based surveillance are real and growing. To remain relevant, the supercarrier has to evolve. It just can't be the same kind of ship it was in the past. The Kennedy and her sister ships are a step in this direction. With their advanced sensors, defenses, and ability to operate a new generation of aircraft, including unmanned drones, the future carrier air wing will likely look very different. It'll probably include long-range unmanned tanker drones to extend the reach of the manned fighters, allowing the carrier to stand off from a greater, safer distance. It will also include unmanned surveillance and attack drones that can be sent into the most dangerous areas, reducing the risk to human pilots. The role of the carrier may also shift. In a major conflict against a peer adversary like China or Russia, risking a carrier close to shore might be deemed just too dangerous. In such a scenario, carriers might be held back in a more defensive role, securing sea lanes and providing a second line of attack, while long-range missiles, bombers, and submarines take on the most dangerous missions. However, in the vast majority of other scenarios, from humanitarian relief and disaster response to regional conflicts against less sophisticated powers, the aircraft carrier remains an unparalleled instrument of national power. Its ability to arrive on scene and provide a sustained, independent military presence is a capability that is still unmatched. Ultimately, the USS John F. Kennedy sails into a deeply uncertain future. She is a testament to incredible engineering and a symbol of enduring national ambition. But she is also a product of a world that is rapidly changing around her. Her fate, and the fate of the supercarrier class as a whole, will depend on a race between the evolution of threats and the evolution of countermeasures. It's a high-stakes competition between the sword and the shield, playing out on a global stage. The age of the supercarrier may not be over, but its era of unquestioned dominance has given way to a new and far more challenging chapter in the long and dramatic history of war at sea.